The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too evil and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty.
Earnestly podcast. Recorded this on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at about 11 o'clock in the morning, just before 11 o'clock in the morning. I got to get this in and out in the next 30 minutes because I have a massage appointment to get to by 12 o'clock. So I have 30 minutes to get this in. How you guys doing, by the way? This is Earnestly podcast, and I don't know why this thing. Oh, there it goes. Okay, that's better. All right. Let me just say first off, hello, number one. Hope you had a good weekend. Yeah, before we get started on the show, because we got a lot to get to on the show today. Of course, I'll give my NFL week 6 recaps rather on the show and takeaways. James Franklin fired finally by Penn State. Oh my God, we'll discuss that and feel like they did the right thing here. MTV might be done. Of course, I thought they've been done for years. And then there's a crazy story that from a band. If you guys remember the band Lost Prophets, they're fairly big in the early 2000s. The lead singer was jailed for some really disgusting shit. Well, he is dead. I'll break down all of that the situation, as to how he died and whatnot. But first, before I get started, I want to discuss something here. I want to shout out the band 21 Pilots. My wife and I and our kids saw them in concert this past Friday. And I got to tell you, you talk to someone who's a concert music snob, concert whore. This year alone, I've seen Deftones, I've seen Metallica, I've seen Pantera, I've seen System of a Down, I've seen Korn, you name it. I've seen some of the best bands out there, some of the best live bands you've seen in history. This concert that I attended on Friday was the best show of 2025, and I can argue right now, this 4 or 5 days removed, arguably a top 5 show all time I've ever seen live. And of course, this is also, again, I've seen hundreds upon hundreds of concerts. I mean, I've seen Michael Jackson live. I've seen Janet Jackson live. I've seen all these great legendary artists and bands. I am picky. Okay, picky is a little stretch, but I have high standards when it comes to music and about entertainment. These guys put a fantastic show. It also helps that doing this and experiencing this situation and seeing this with your family, like, it's one thing to go to concerts, and I go to concerts all the time by myself. I'll be seeing one of my favorite bands in the world, Fear Factory, by myself in 2 weeks. Okay, I've seen them on. That's probably the band I've seen the most live, but they still put on a great show. So I've got many shows by myself. I've got many shows with my wife. We just saw System Down in Korn in concert in New York 2 months ago. But it's a cooler experience to do this with your family, with your children. And I did this, this is the third time we've done a concert together. We did Fall Out Boy along with Bring Me to the Horizon back about 2 years ago. That was a great experience. Okay. And then we did Metallica this past June. Of course, that's my favorite band in the whole world. So that was special for me. 21 Pilots is my wife's favorite band. It splits between that and Incubus. That's like her favorite bands. So this is a big deal for her. My kids know all their songs already. We've been fans of this band for over 10 years. My wife is a huge fan of this band, as I said. So my oldest son, especially too, knows all the songs. Like, he knew all the songs pretty much from 2 years old on. We've been listening to these guys on regular since 2015. So hearing, I have the videos on my phone, all that. Hearing my kids and my oldest son, specifically my oldest son, singing along to all the songs. That's some of the songs, but all the songs. And they did what, 25 songs on Friday, about 25 songs. Hearing him sing all the songs, like, wow, this is awesome. experiencing this stuff, concerts, live shows with your family, is such a different dynamic, man. I'm telling you, if you have kids, and you guys love music and you guys are into music, it is one of the best experiences you're ever going to have. For me personally, because I'm a musician and because I love music and it's my biggest passion, it's a big deal for me. Like, again, when I saw Metallica with them, back in June, it was a big deal for me too. You know what I mean? So have my wife having experienced this end now with one of her favorite bands in the world, was cool for her as well too. I mean, again, they played in an amphitheater. They had 2 stages. They had the main stage, of course, but then they set up a small stage and did a part of a set on the lawn. We were sitting on the lawn. Okay, you don't have amphitheater set up. It's the grandstands. Then it's the middle section where people walk through, and then there's a big lawn in the back. They did a whole set, 5-song set on the lawn, 50-minute set. The drummer and the singer. I mean, I can't explain how good this show was. I was so entertained. The songs are great. The songs sound great live too, especially. This is a band now I will now add to my list of bands I would travel to see. Like, if they're playing a show, let's say in New York, for example, I will go to New York to watch these guys play. I'll find an excuse to go somewhere to see these guys play. Like, very few bands and artists will do this for me. They're now on my list now because they're worth the time. They're that damn good. So shout out to those boys, the 21 Pilots, Tyler and Joseph, for a phenomenal, Joshua rather, the drummer. By the way, Joshua Dunn, probably the greatest live drummer I've seen play live. I think him and Morgan Rose from Seven Dust are my 2 favorite drummers of all time I've ever seen live. Again, I can't get over how good that show was. I can't get over. I knew they'd be good, but this good, like, wow. And again, they're a 2-piece band. It's Tyler, who sings, but he also raps, but he also plays guitar, bass, ukulele, tambourine, piano, all live, and this translates so well, man. You'll see these guys play live. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. All right. Week 6 in the books officially. I got 5 takeaways for you guys. First takeaway here, because I got to get this done and soon. Number 1, this season so far is as wide open as we've ever seen it. We came to the year saying Philadelphia heavy favorites, and even a couple of weeks was like, they came into the year and, not putting together a full game yet. Now they lost 2 games in a row. Okay. There's no clear favorite. Like, Tampa right now is probably playing the best football along with Indy. But I think there's still doubt as whether these 2 teams can actually run away with it now. There is no runaways right now. This thing is as wide open as I've ever seen it now. We know who the bad teams are. We know the Saints are bad. The Jets are bad. The Titans are definitely bad. They fired their coach, Brian Callahan, yesterday. But in terms of getting to the playoffs and certainly shaping the Super Bowl conversation, it's wide open, bro. It's wide open. I look, if we're going to take this to 6-game sample, you can see upwards of 10 to 12 teams making the Super Bowl or winning it, and won't be surprised. If this sample is what will play out the rest of the year, we can see 10 to 12 teams in the Super Bowl. Is this that open? Okay. Number 2, Baker Mayfield right now is now the runaway MVP. And no, I don't want to hear anything else alluding from that. This dude, 5-1, but the Bucs have had him, come from behind to win most of these games on Baker's arm and guts and grit. And they had a really good win against the Niners on Sunday. Against a good Niners team. Yes, banged up, but guess what's banged up too? So the Bucs. Bucs are down 4 receivers now. Okay, down 4 receivers, 2 O-linemen, and they have the best record in football right now. And number 1 seed currently in the NFC. So Baker Mayfield is doing more or less. He is, to see this turnaround with Baker has been truly, truly incredible. Right now, my MVP and a runaway right now. All right, number 3. I've been saying for weeks now, but I haven't really been saying it loud enough because the record said something, and I figured, they'll figure it out, and maybe they will figure it out, and I think they'll be there in the end. But man, can we just say what it is? The Buffalo Bills are overrated. Okay, they're overrated. Not lost 2 straight now, and now the Patriots are in first place in the division. Okay. Also, they won 4 games. Who have they beaten? Okay, so your best win of the year right now is against a Ravens team that right now is 1-5. Granted, with Lamar and Derek Henry, and they blew that lead. Okay, but we've seen that defense play like shit now the rest of the year. So it doesn't look good right now in hindsight. You beat the Saints. Saints suck. Dolphins stink out loud. Okay, who else am missing here? The Jets. They haven't won a damn game yet. Those are your 4 wins. So don't come at me sitting there saying, the Bills are screwed. And here's the thing. Are the Bills probably the favorite in the AFC still? Maybe, but it's definitely neck and neck. Okay. Also, this is more of a Bills problem, not a Josh Allen problem. Josh Allen's the best player on that team, or the best quarterback in the league right now. Okay. But they are way too over-reliant on Josh Allen. This might be a Sean McDermott problem. Look, they'll probably win the division. Okay, I'm still skeptical of the Patriots, even though they're playing well right now. Okay, but to sit here and think the Bills are a clear-cut favorite in the AFC, you need the guys to stop. I think last night's loss to Atlanta only furthered that point, honestly, in my opinion. All right, number 4. Eagles lose to the Roswell, too. Another team that lost 2 games in a row. And, you watch that game, I don't think it was Jalen Hurts' problem. I don't think it was. I don't think the problem was the defense. I don't think the problem was the offense. The O-line played actually really well. I mean, they got fourth quarter. They got pressure on him late in the fourth quarter. The Giants did. I think the problem is A.J. Brown. I think at this point, the Eagles, if this thing continues to grow, these struggles, like we're getting 2023 vibes against this Eagles team. I think the problem. I think that the common denominator here is A.J. Brown not being happy. One thing you saw in that game against the Giants is that Jalen Hurts got a lot of time to throw the ball, but he keyed in on trying to get A.J. Brown the ball also too, which is screwed up the vibe of the offense. That can't happen. A.J. Brown has to fit in somehow, okay? He's getting paid as such, okay? All right? He needs to stop complaining about getting the ball. He's got to stop, okay? This is definitely 2023 vibes, okay? Now, here's the thing. Can he turn around? Yes. Do you think he will turn around? Also, yes. This team is too fucking good to be this bad right now the last couple weeks. So the Eagles problem here to me is really A.J. Brown, okay? And finally, last thing here, fifth takeaway for me. The Chiefs are back. 3-3. And guess what? Remember the whole thing a couple weeks ago, the Chargers won the division? Yeah. Now, about that. Now, they won this week against Miami, but only game on the Chiefs now. Only one game up on the Chiefs in the division. Okay? Granted, they also won the game against the Chiefs, week 1. But the Chargers also getting banged like crazy. Lost the running back. They're down to offensive lineman already. They haven't played well the last couple weeks. They had to sneak out a win against a bad Miami Dolphins team. The Chiefs, as I told you guys, I picked them to beat Detroit mainly because I just couldn't see a scenario of them being 2-4. And not only did they win the game on Sunday night against Detroit, the team that we believe is the best team in football, or many believe was coming into that game, they smashed them. So, I mean, at this point, it's like, okay, so Casey's the 3-3. They get Rasheed Rice back now after this week. Suspension ends now as of Monday. AFC's wide open even more. The division now's wide open. Denver's, come on, they're 4-2, but Denver like shit against the Jets. This thing is wide open, bro. This thing is wide open. So the Chiefs are back. And I'm sorry, I'll go ahead and say it. I'll pencil them in. Yes, they are a super contender back. Okay? Because as long as you have that quarterback and that coach, you cannot count them out. That's simple. All right? So those are my 5 takeaways for this week in the week 6 here in the NFL. All right, some news in college football. It happened, guys. It finally happened. James Franklin fired by Penn State. He was dismissed on Sunday following a 3-3 start to the season and 3 straight Big Ten losses, including the 22-21 upset loss to Northwestern the day before. He had been head coach for 11 seasons, compiling a record of 104-45. Very impressive. Winning a Big Ten championship and leading the team to a college football playoff appearance last year. See, that's why I was surprised they fired him, because things gotten bad since the Oregon loss. But I figured he may have one more year reprieve because he made the playoff. Nope. Now, associate head coach Terry Smith has been elevated for the position for interim coach the rest of the year. Penn State will owe Franklin a significant buyout, reported to be near $50 million from the 10-year contract he signed in 2021. However, his contract reportedly requires him to look for a new job in coaching or broadcasting, and any salary from a new job will offset the amount Penn State owes him. It had to happen at some point. This has been for years now. We've heard this guy's name in the ether about being let go. Penn State every year being very good, but not good enough. In a conference that, okay, if you're not beating Ohio State, you're not beating Michigan every year, you got a problem. And now you add Oregon to the mix now since they joined the Big Ten 2 years ago. Okay, yes, they made a college playoff, 12-team playoff. Okay, so the situation helped your case. And granted, they were a game away from going to the national title game. So you figured, okay, well, there's some progress, but then you lose to Oregon week 4. Okay, and then you lose to UCLA. I think the UCLA loss was the one that really turned the thing on its head, because then you have the UCLA loss, and on top of that, Northwestern. I think I think honestly what happened here was that all the folks, all the folks in Penn State, just people who pay the money, the boosters. That was what I'm looking for, the boosters. I probably finally said, we're done. We are so done with this guy. Look, I think he'll land on his feet again. He's a good coach. But again, when you coach a team like Penn State, Nick Lions, that has a legacy, that's one of the other pillars of college football. There are some expectations that come with that. So I do see him having another job at some point down the road. Okay. And I'm probably with a big school too also. Now, word is that Penn State is looking to go for a home run here, and they're looking to talk to Marcus Freeman for Notre Dame for the job. I don't know why Marcus Freeman would leave Notre Dame unless it's a money issue, unless they offer him a lot of money. But, I'm surprised this happened this soon. I'm surprised even if he would have gotten fired this year, they would have waited it out. But I think they saw the damn break, and I think those things that happened there. I think the boosters spoke louder, and I think that's what happened here. So, all right. Some music news, actually. Is MTV done? Apparently, they're not entirely done, but is definitely changing in a massive way. The main MTV channel is still on the air, but its focus now has been shifting away from music videos and more on reality TV shows. Here's the focus now on the main MTV channel that's still on air. Right now, the focus is that the primary MTV channel now will focus almost entirely on reality shows and original programming aimed at young adults. Popular shows include franchises like The Challenge, Ridiculousness, Catfish, and various teen mom and love hip-hop series. Its viewership has declined significantly from its peak, reflecting its broader shift of young audiences away from the traditional cable television and toward digital and streaming platforms. In a major sign of the times, MTV's parent company, Paramount Global, is in the process of shutting down several of its dedicated music video channels internationally, starting with the UK and Ireland, which, whatever, global markets follow as part of the cost emitter. The channels we shut down include MTV Music, MTV 80s, 90s, Club MTV, MTV Live. Dude, these stations, these channels, I used to kind of watch back in the day. This is depressing, honestly, though. The MTV brand continues to exist in a few key areas on streaming. Its content is a major part of Paramount Plus' streaming service. It will still host major high-profile events like the MTV VMAs, the Video Music Awards, and the MTV Movie and TV Awards. I said that too fucking fast. Sorry, guys. The brand remains active on various social media platforms, which is where young people primarily consume music videos today. To me, MTV died 20 years ago. I mean, even before that. Like, we saw this coming back in the late 90s, but even then, there was still a good mix of music videos, music shows, dedicated music shows, and reality TV. What's happened, though, is that with the rise of the internet, the rise of social media, the rise of YouTube, I think YouTube was the thing that really changed things, because artists no longer had to depend on MTV to put their art out to the masses. They just put on YouTube, create a YouTube page, and put it out there. That changed everything. Which is understandable why MTV did what it did. I'm not mad at them for doing that, but this is a long time coming, bro. This is a long time coming. I remember MTV back in the day growing up, where Headbangers Ball, obviously Michael Jackson was on there all the time. They had dedicated MJ marathons. I remember watching all the rockumentaries. So MTV had some fantastic work back in the day. Like, for what it is, in terms of branding, they did a fantastic job. Kurt Loder was a legend. And whatnot, is this one of those things where, like, John Norris, another one, it's one of those things where, like, it just changed. Like, we blame, MTV for not playing enough videos, but the reality is the market changed, the market shift. But much like with newspapers, much like everything else, everything is shifting, and to be honest with you, I'm surprised it lasted this long, honestly, because I don't remember anyone in recent years talk about, did you see MTV recently? The only time I ever hear MTV being even worth a damn is if it's like the VMAs. That's it, the VMAs. So there should be no surprise here about what's happened here. This was a long, long time coming. So, like I said, it will exist, but definitely not the same. And I guess I've had issues with MTV for years anyway, so it is what it is. But yeah, see ya, sayonara, MTV. Like, does VH1 still exist also too? I'm curious, because I used to watch VH1 back in the days too also. But they're another brand that also shifted massively from music videos to more reality based stuff, and I don't know. I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in over 10 years because I don't need it. You know what I mean? And I certainly wouldn't pay for MTV or VH1 if you know they don't present anything worth a damn to watch. You know? So again, being a kid that was raised in MTV and someone that when I had cable anyway growing up, man, it was definitely, you know, that was my go-to for my metal videos and rock videos and MJ stuff, and that was a spot, man. And man, some of these kids don't even understand how big MTV was back in the day, how important it was to the culture. Like to me, I think the last really big moment for MTV really was TRL. It was TRL, Total Request Live with Carson Daly. I think once that ended in 2000, I think 2 or 3, it went to shit. That was the last like really massive like thing that was worth turning into, appointment show turning into. So anyway, all right, one last thing we got out of here. This is a very wacky story and very sad and disgusting story though. But okay, so Ian Watkins is the former lead singer of the band Lost Prophets. They were a band I was not a huge fan of, but I did listen to a couple of songs back in the day. I think I owned one of their albums. I think 2002, 2003. They were decent. They were not the band I never went away for. But he died on Saturday after being attacked in prison. And the reason why he was in prison because he was serving a 29-year sentence at HMP Wakefield in Warwickshire, England, for multiple child sex offenses, which he pled guilty to in 2013. He was attacked with a knife by another inmate on the morning of Saturday morning, and was pronounced dead on the scene. The police have arrested 2 men, ages 25 and 43, on suspicion of murder. Watkins had previously been attacked at the same prison in 2023 where he was taken hostage and stabbed, though those injuries were not life-threatening. His sentence at the time included convictions for 13 child sex offenses, including the attempted rape of a baby. Bro, so this story I first saw probably about 7-8 years ago. And I shit you not, when I first read this story, I fucking almost threw up. Like, you have, obviously, this pedophilia and this disgusting as fuck. But then you have the babies. This guy had been fucked up in the head to even go that extra route. And when you read the story in detail, I mean, some people like, you know, his ex-girlfriend who tried to go to the police to tell him what was going on, and read some of the things that was alleged. Well, he's not convicted of, obviously. It's disgusting. Like, everybody obviously is saying, you know, adios and good, thank God he's dead. And I'll be honest with you, like, a part of me, like, going back to what I've been saying about the evaluation of life, because I'm not feeling sorry for the guy, obviously, for dying and getting killed, because he first of all, he admitted this happened. Okay, he pled guilty for this stuff. Okay, it's just that, God, you have to be mentally sick in the head to have that sort of frame of thought, mental health, because I don't understand. You have the whole world in your hands. You're in a very popular rock band, and you're doing this shit. It is disgusting. But the story is also fascinating too, because, you know, what led up to this? What was his history? You know, what was this? How do you get there? That's the thing. How do you get there? You know, of course, the band, you know, they broke up in 2013 after they realized this was real and this was not fake and all this stuff. And we saw some statements from band members after, you know, the announcement. I remember actually in 2023 when they announced him getting attacked. I remember saying to myself, he's not going to last 29 years in here, because that kind of crime on children, forget children alone is bad enough. A baby? There's no way in hell he's going to last in prison. I am surprised that he lasts as long as he did. He's been in prison since 2013. So I'm surprised he lasts this long. I really am. So it's disgusting. I'm glad he's gone, obviously, you know, but man, the story is wacky as fuck though too. It really is. So anyway, sorry I had to close on a very somber note. You know, not somber he's gone, but somber in the sense of what this guy did. But I'm on X at EJ Christian 7. We have a lot of content coming this week, including we are scheduled to record our NBA season previews this week. In fact, I'm recording those tonight. You'll start seeing, I think, the first episode on Thursday, and then another episode on Saturday, I believe, Saturday or Sunday. So look out for that coming up. I'm on X at EJ Christian 7. Earnestly Podcast, of course, all podcast catchers. You can, of course, check out the TikTok at Earnestly Pod, YouTube Earnestly Pod. Until the next episode, guys, thank you for your support. We love you. And until next one, see ya.